You know what's funny? People will hurt you and then act like you did something wrong. But darling, you don't need revenge. You just need to level up, because nothing burns them more than seeing you glow after they tried to dim your light. Listen, my dear. Life is not a Bollywood film where villains apologize in the end. In real life, people hurt you and just walk away. No background music, no guilt, nothing. But here's the twist. You don't have to carry their pain in your heart. You just have to carry your self-respect like a crown. When someone hurts you, they reveal who they are, not who you are. So stop replaying the scene in your head. Delete it like an old movie file, because honestly, your next chapter deserves a fresh script. And remember, darling, silence is not weakness. It's class. It's strength. It's the mic drop moment of your life. When someone hurts you, the first instinct that comes rushing through your veins is to react. You want to say something, do something, or prove a point. You want to show them that they can't just walk all over you. But darling, reacting instantly is like pouring fuel on a fire. It might make you feel powerful for a moment, but it burns longer than you expect. Reacting in the heat of the moment means you're allowing their action to control your emotion. You're giving them free rent in your head, and trust me, they don't deserve even a corner. The real strength lies in pausing, in holding that fire inside you without letting it turn destructive. That's where reflection steps in. Reflection is when you choose to step back and understand before you respond. It's when you stop and ask yourself, why did that hurt me so much? What was I expecting from this person? What lesson am I meant to learn here? Because when you reflect, you don't give them power, you take it back. You become the director of your own story instead of reacting like a character who lost control of the script. In that stillness, you start seeing things as they are, not as your emotions paint them to be. When you don't react, you disarm people. They expect drama. They expect your breakdown. They expect your angry text, your tears, your confrontation. But when you stay calm, collected, and composed, it shakes them. It confuses them because they can't control a woman who controls her emotions. Silence is not weakness. It's a form of strength that screams louder than any argument ever could. It's your power in motion, and it says, I don't need to prove my peace to anyone. Reflecting is also about taking responsibility for your emotions. It's not about blaming yourself for what happened, but about understanding why it affected you the way it did. Sometimes the reason we react so strongly isn't because of what they did, but because of what we felt we lost. Maybe respect, trust, validation, or hope. When you take time to reflect, you begin to separate your wound from your worth. You realize that what they did reflects their character, not your value. Imagine this. Someone says something cruel to you, and instead of snapping back, you breathe. You pause. You observe their tone, their intent, and your emotion. You recognize that their words are a projection of their pain, not a definition of your truth. That's reflection. It's maturity wrapped in grace. It's like looking in a mirror and saying, I see the hurt, but I also see the healer inside me. Reacting comes from ego. Reflecting comes from wisdom. When you react, you are saying, you have power over my peace. When you reflect, you are saying, I have power over myself. One choice drains you, the other refines you. Life will always test your patience through people. Some will trigger you, some will betray you, and some will misunderstand you completely. But when you practice the art of reflection, you start mastering the art of peace. You learn that not every battle deserves your sword. Some deserve your silence. When you don't react, you give space for truth to reveal itself. Sometimes people expose who they are without you needing to say a word. Let time and their actions do the talking. Your calmness becomes your shield. Your silence becomes your strategy. And your reflection becomes your transformation. Because reflection doesn't just heal the wound, it teaches you how not to get cut the same way again. It's also about emotional intelligence, the ability to manage your feelings instead of being managed by them. When you react impulsively, you become predictable, but when you reflect, you become powerful. You start choosing peace over pettiness, wisdom over words, and growth over gossip. You stop running around trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You simply observe and move on. Reflection gives you clarity. It shows you who truly cares, who pretends, and who never deserved a seat in your heart. It allows you to see patterns, not just moments. You begin to realize that some people hurt you not because you're weak, but because your light reminded them of their darkness. You see that their cruelty had nothing to do with you and everything to do with what they're battling inside. That awareness frees you. It stops you from carrying pain that doesn't belong to you. When you learn to reflect instead of react, you also protect your energy. You don't waste your nights overthinking what you could have said differently. You don't waste your mornings replaying the same conversation. You move differently, with elegance, with control, with quiet confidence. You respond with logic, not emotion. You act with patience, not pressure. And suddenly, peace becomes your new habit. So the next time someone hurts you, take that deep breath. Walk away if you must. Don't reply immediately. Don't let your emotions write a message your soul will regret. Go for a walk, listen to music, cry if you must. But don't react, wait until you've reflected. Because that moment of stillness between your hurt and your reaction, that's where wisdom is born. That's where healing begins. And that's where the version of you that no one can break starts to rise. When someone breaks your heart, betrays your trust, or speaks words that slice deeper than a knife, the first emotion that rises is anger. It feels natural, even justified. You want them to feel what you felt. You want the universe to make them pay. But hate is a poison you drink hoping the other person will die from it. It doesn't hurt them, it burns you from within. It drains your beauty, your peace, your smile, your softness, everything that makes you, you. Healing, on the other hand, is freedom. It's choosing yourself instead of your pain. It's saying, I won't let what you did define what I become. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It means facing it with open eyes and a steady heart. It's sitting with your wound until it no longer controls your spirit. Hate is easy. It gives you an illusion of power. It makes you feel like you're doing something about your pain. But in reality, it keeps you chained to the very person who hurt you. Every time you think of them with bitterness, you're giving them space in your mind. Every time you replay their wrongs, you're feeding your wound instead of cleansing it. Healing, on the other hand, is hard but holy. It takes courage to say, I release you, especially when they never apologized. But when you do, your heart becomes lighter. Healing is not about them, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your peace, your glow, your joy, your laughter. Hate makes your heart heavy, healing makes it free. Hate says, I can't move on until you suffer. Healing says, I move on because I deserve peace. That's the difference between staying stuck in the story and writing a new chapter. When you heal, you don't deny your pain. You transform it. You let your scars remind you of how strong you were, not how cruel someone was. Healing also means understanding. Not excusing what they did, but understanding why it hurt you so much. Maybe you trusted too easily. Maybe you ignored the signs. Maybe you loved more than you were loved back. It's okay. That's not your shame. That's your humanity. Hate will keep you bitter at what went wrong. Healing helps you learn what to do better next time. It's growth disguised as grace. Think about it. When you hate someone, you think of them constantly. They become the center of your emotions. You carry them everywhere, to your work, your sleep, your conversations, your dreams. But when you start healing, they start fading. Their voice becomes quieter. Their memory loses its sting. You stop talking about them, not because you've forgotten, but because you've outgrown the pain. That's power. Quiet, soft, unstoppable power. Healing asks for patience. It's not a one-day transformation. It's not about waking up suddenly okay. It's about small moments, choosing not to text them back, choosing not to stalk their social media, choosing to focus on your growth instead of their guilt. It's about crying when you need to, but not staying stuck in the tears. It's about getting up again and again until standing no longer hurts. Hate demands energy every day. Healing gives it back to why. Go, day by day. When you choose healing, you start to see things differently. You realize that the person who hurt you may have been broken too. Hurt people, not because they're evil, but because they don't know how to love properly. Understanding that doesn't make what they did right, but it helps you stop carrying their darkness in your soul. You can acknowledge their damage without letting it damage you. Healing is an act of rebellion in a world that teaches revenge. It's saying, you may have wounded me, but you will not own me. It's smiling again after they expected you to crumble. It's finding happiness in small things, learning to laugh again, trusting again, dreaming again. Hate keeps you tied to the past. Healing opens doors to the future. You start realizing that peace is louder than any revenge. There's beauty in healing that hate can never give. When you heal, your eyes soften, your energy changes, and your soul glows differently. People feel it. They see that calmness in you that says, I've been through storms, but I'm not made of anger. That's real power, being able to walk past what broke you without flinching. Because once you heal, you can't be triggered by the same things again. Hate keeps the wound open. Healing turns it into wisdom. And healing doesn't mean you have to welcome them back into your life. You can forgive and still walk away. You can wish them peace without ever speaking to them again. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, it means liberation. It's for your heart, not their ego. Hate makes you bitter. Healing makes you better. Hate focuses on them. Healing focuses on you. Hate repeats the pain. Healing rewrites the story. Healing also means turning inward. It's realizing that no one can fix you but you. It's learning to nurture your heart, to pour love where others poured pain. It's surrounding yourself with peace, with good people, with calm moments. It's choosing music over memories, self-care over self-blame, lessons over losses. Healing is when you stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this for me? That question changes everything. There will be days when the pain feels fresh again, when your chest tightens and the memory burns. Don't fight it, that's part of healing too. Every tear you shed washes away a little more of the hate. Every moment of peace you collect. Aim builds a stronger version of you. Healing is messy, it's non-linear, it's slow, but it's the only way to truly move forward. Hate gives temporary satisfaction, but healing gives permanent freedom. When you heal, you stop waiting for closure from someone else and start creating it within yourself. Walking away gracefully is one of the most powerful and dignified moves a person can make. It's not about pride, ego, or revenge. It's about peace. It's about realizing that you don't need to argue, beg, or explain your worth to people who don't see it. There is a certain strength in silence, in the quiet decision to leave behind what no longer nourishes your soul. When you walk away gracefully, you're not losing, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I deserve better than confusion, chaos, and half love. There will be moments when your heart wants to stay, when your emotions whisper that maybe things will change, maybe they'll finally understand you, maybe the story still has hope. But deep down, your intuition knows the truth. It knows that staying in places that constantly break your peace is a slow form of self-destruction. Graceful walking away doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care enough about yourself to stop shrinking for others. It means you can love someone and still choose distance. You can wish them well and still move on. You can have history with them but not a future. Walking away gracefully is an art, one that takes courage, patience, and emotional maturity. It's not about slamming doors, shouting words, or leaving scars. It's about quietly closing the chapter with your dignity intact. It's knowing when silence speaks louder than 1,000 explanations. People may never understand why you left. They may twist the story. They may even call you heartless. But your peace will know. Your soul will whisper finally, because grace isn't about proving your point, it's about protecting your peace. When you walk away gracefully, you take your power back. Every time you walk away from disrespect, you teach people how to treat you. You stop engaging in endless cycles of drama, arguments, and disappointment. You stop fighting for someone to see your worth when it's not your job to convince them. You realize that the right people won't make you beg for love, attention, or respect. They will meet you halfway. But if they don't, you walk. Not because you stopped loving, but because you started respecting yourself more. Graceful walking away is also about control. Emotional control. Anyone can walk away in anger. Anyone can cut ties in frustration. But it takes real power to leave quietly, without bitterness, without burning bridges, without the need to be right. It's when you choose calm over chaos, peace over pettiness, and healing over hatred. It's when you understand that some people are not meant to go where you're going. They were lessons, not lifelong companions. Their part in your story was temporary, and that's okay. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. When you walk away, you make space for better people, for better energy, for better moments. Life doesn't reward those who cling tightly to what's breaking them. Life rewards those who know when to release, because the act of walking away is not an ending, it's a beginning. It's the start of a new era of self-respect and peace. The moment you let go, you create room for growth. You look back one day and realize that walking away wasn't weakness, it was wisdom in motion. There's beauty in detachment, in not reacting, in not giving explanations. Sometimes silence is the most powerful closure you can give. It leaves people wondering how you managed to stay so composed when they expected you to fall apart. That calmness is not coldness, it's self-mastery. It's the ability to say, I choose not to lose myself trying to hold on to someone who doesn't see me. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you no longer chase validation. You simply move on with grace, leaving confusion behind. Walking away gracefully doesn't mean you suppress your emotions. It means you acknowledge them and still choose wisdom over impulse. You cry, you grieve, you miss, but you don't return. Because returning to what hurt you is like reopening a wound that was finally healing. You can miss someone and still not need them. You can remember the good times and still not want to relive them. Grace is when you can look at the past and say, thank you for the lessons without bitterness in your voice. The hardest part about walking away is the silence afterward, the empty space where that person used to be, the habit of their presence. It feels lonely at first, but that silence eventually becomes sacred. It becomes your peace, your clarity, your strength. You start hearing yourself again, dreaming again, breathing again. You realize how much energy you spent trying to fix what wasn't meant to work. You learn that peace is not found in holding on, it's found in letting go without resentment. Grace also means not seeking revenge. You don't need to show anyone that you've moved on. You don't need to post, prove, or perform. Let them wonder. Let your silence be your statement. Let your growth be your response, because when you walk away with grace, you rise. You glow differently. You become untouchable to the same energy that once broke you. Sometimes walking away gracefully means walking away from your own patterns, from your overthinking, from your tendency to fix others, from your need to always be understood. It's choosing to grow beyond the version of yourself that tolerated too much. It's saying, I love me enough to stop standing where I am not valued. That kind of self-respect radiates power. It changes the way people see you, but more importantly, it changes the way you see yourself. Walking away gracefully is strength wrapped in softness. It's power without aggression. It's maturity that doesn't need to be loud. It's the calm knowing that not every goodbye deserves an explanation, and not every ending needs closure. Sometimes walking away is the closure. It's that quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth and doesn't settle for less than peace. When you choose to leave with grace, you are not abandoning anyone. You're returning home to yourself. When life hurts you, it's easy to get stuck in the pain. You replay moments, reimagine conversations, and relive the disappointment until it becomes part of your daily thoughts. Pain has a way of wrapping itself around your heart like a storm that refuses to pass. But every painful experience carries something deeper, a lesson that life is trying to teach you. The problem is, most people focus on the wound instead of the wisdom. They remember how it felt, but never what it taught. Learn the lesson, not the pain, means shifting your focus from what broke you to what built you. It's about looking beyond the tears to see the truth that the experience was trying to reveal. Every setback, every heartbreak, every betrayal, all of it comes with a message. But you can only hear it when you stop drowning in the noise of your emotions. When you stay stuck in pain, you let the past control your present. You carry it into every new chapter, every new relationship, every new opportunity. It becomes the lens through which you see the world. You start expecting pain because you never learned the lesson behind it. The lesson is what heals you. The pain is what humbles you. The lesson says, this is what I need to change. The pain says, this is what I need to release. Learning the lesson means you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what did this come to teach me? It changes everything. Maybe it came to teach you patience. Maybe it came to teach you boundaries. Maybe it came to remind you that not everyone who smiles is sincere, or that self-love must always come before any other love. Every experience, no matter how painful, leaves behind a clue. It's your job to find it, because the universe doesn't send pain to punish you. It sends it to prepare you. If someone betrayed you, the lesson might be about trust. Not about closing your heart, but about choosing more wisely next time. If someone left you, the lesson might be about attachment. Not to never love again, but to love without losing yourself. If life disappointed you, the lesson might be about resilience, learning to stand even when everything you wanted falls apart. Pain is the delivery system, the lesson is the gift. Most people throw away the package and never open the message inside. When you focus only on pain, you repeat it. When you extract the lesson, you evolve. The same situation can happen to two people. One becomes bitter, the other becomes better. The difference lies in what they chose to keep. One held on to the pain, the other carried the lesson. Pain is heavy, lessons are light. Pain chains you to the past, lessons free you to create a new future. Learning the lesson also means taking responsibility for your part. Not blaming yourself, but understanding your choices. Maybe you stayed too long in a situation that showed its red flags early on. Maybe you ignored your intuition because you wanted to believe in potential instead of reality. Maybe you gave too many chances hoping they'd change. The lesson is there to show you that your peace matters more than your patience, that love should not come at the cost of your dignity. Pain points to what needs healing. Lessons show you how to heal it. The truth is, pain will always visit, but it doesn't have to move in. It's like fire. It can burn you, or it can forge you into something stronger. When you keep reliving what hurt you, you become a prisoner of the past. When you learn from it, you become a master of your life. You begin to see patterns, the same type of people, the same type of mistakes, the same kind of disappointments. And you realize that life keeps repeating lessons until you finally learn them. Once you learn, the pattern breaks. Learning the lesson is also about forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. Forgiving yourself for not knowing better, for trusting too easily, for loving too deeply, for staying too long. You did what you could with what you knew at the time. The lesson is your wisdom now. The pain was just the process of finding it. When you focus on the lesson, you grow. You stop judging yourself for your past and start using it as a guide for your future. Sometimes the lesson is about timing. Some things weren't meant to last forever. They were meant to teach you what forever should feel like. Some people weren't meant to stay. They were meant to awaken something inside you, strength, courage, clarity. The pain of losing them might linger, but if you look deeper, you'll see that they came to push you toward a version of yourself that could only exist through that transformation. Learning the lesson also teaches emotional intelligence. You start understanding that not every emotion deserves a reaction, not every insult deserves your energy, and not every disappointment deserves your despair. You become more grounded, more balanced. You stop taking things personally because you've learned that what people do is a reflection of who they are, not of your worth. That's the power of extracting lessons. It gives you emotional freedom. Pain often blinds you with questions like, why me? But once you shift your focus to what for, you start to see purpose in the chaos. You realize that the pain that once broke you actually built your strength. It taught you empathy, patience, boundaries, and resilience. It taught you to be kinder but not naive, stronger but not cold, wiser but not bitter. That's what happens when you learn the lesson instead of carrying the pain. You grow with grace instead of grief. You can always tell when someone has learned their lessons instead of living in pain. They speak differently. They move differently. They no longer seek revenge or validation. They have peace in their eyes because they turned their wounds into wisdom. Learning the lesson doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means it no longer controls how you think, love, or live. It means you've graduated from that chapter of your life, and now you carry only what's useful. The truth, the clarity, the growth. Pain demands attention, but lessons give direction. When you start seeking meaning in what hurt you, you stop being defined by it. There comes a time in life when you realize that no matter how much love, time, or effort you pour into others, not everyone will do the same for you. You start to see that chasing people, trying to be understood, or constantly proving your worth only leaves you empty. That's when you learn the golden rule, focus on you. It's not selfishness, it's self-preservation. It's the art of redirecting all that energy you used to give away into becoming the best version of yourself. When you focus on you, you stop waiting for someone to make you feel seen, loved, or valued. You start becoming your own source of light. Focusing on yourself means building a relationship with your own soul. It means listening to your feelings instead of suppressing them for the sake of others. It's about asking, what do I need? Instead of what will they think? It's realizing that peace of mind is more precious than approval, and self-respect is more powerful than attention. You begin to understand that you can't pour from an empty cup, and giving yourself the love you deserve is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Because the truth is, the moment you start giving yourself what you always begged others for, you stop depending on them for happiness. When you focus on you, you take responsibility for your growth. You stop blaming others for what they did and start working on what you can do next. You stop saying they hurt me and start saying I'm healing. You stop saying they changed and start saying I've learned. The focus shifts from their behavior to your response. That shift is freedom. It's empowerment. It's emotional maturity in its highest form. It means you no longer allow external chaos to disturb your internal peace. You become centered, calm, and confident in your own skin. Focusing on yourself is not about ignoring the world, it's about not losing yourself in it. You stop measuring your life by how others see you and start measuring it by how you feel about yourself. You begin to spend more time alone. Not because you're lonely, but because solitude becomes sacred. You find clarity in your own company. You learn to enjoy the silence that once felt uncomfortable. That silence becomes the place where you heal, where you rebuild, and where you reconnect with your power. It's easy to get distracted in a world that constantly tells you to compare, to scroll, to compete, to impress. But when you focus on you, you step out of that race. You stop looking sideways and start looking inward. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You begin to realize that your journey is unique, your timing divine, and your growth incomparable. You don't need validation from the world when you've learned to validate yourself. When you make yourself your priority, you start protecting your energy. You no longer entertain people who drain you or situations that disturb you. You become selective with your time because you understand its value. You say no more often, not out of arrogance but out of awareness. You stop attending every argument you're invited to. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to change. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. That's what focus looks like, discipline disguised as peace. Focusing on yourself also means nurturing your mind, your body, and your spirit. You start eating better, thinking better, speaking kinder words to yourself. You invest in your goals instead of gossip. You spend time learning, creating, or resting instead of worrying about people who no longer deserve space in your thoughts. You replace overthinking with action and waiting with working. You start showing up for yourself the way you once showed up for everyone else. That's when life starts shifting. When you focus on you, you attract differently. You stop chasing what's not meant for you because you're too busy building what is. People who are aligned with your peace start appearing naturally. Opportunities come because you've raised your frequency. You realize that you don't chase energy, you match it. The moment you start valuing yourself, the world begins to value you too. The relationships that once felt one-sided fade away, and the ones that are meant to stay feel effortless. Sometimes focusing on yourself means detaching from people you love. It means saying goodbye to relationships that no longer grow with you. It means accepting that not everyone can come along on your journey. Some will misunderstand your silence, your distance, or your priorities. Let them, because focusing on you is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you deserve peace more than you crave connection. It's about realizing that the version of you that always settled, tolerated, and apologized too much no longer exists. You start loving yourself differently when you focus on you. You forgive yourself for past mistakes. You stop criticizing your flaws and start appreciating your strength. You learn that self-love isn't about spa days or selfies. It's about discipline, healing, and boundaries. It's waking up every morning and choosing to be kind to yourself even when the world isn't. It's celebrating your progress even when no one notices. It's clapping for yourself because you've come so far despite everything that tried to break you. Focusing on yourself also means understanding that growth is not always glamorous. It's messy, lonely, and uncomfortable. It means spending nights reflecting on who you've become and mornings deciding who you want to be. It's facing your fears, healing your wounds, and breaking your old patterns. But the reward is priceless. You become whole. You stop depending on temporary people for permanent happiness. You stop waiting for closure from others and start creating peace within. When you focus on you, you start living intentionally. You set boundaries, chase goals, and protect your peace with the same passion you once gave to pleasing others. You learn that you are not behind, you are right where you need to be. You realize that your happiness is your responsibility, not your partner's, not your friends, not your family's. You build a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. You stop settling for less than you deserve because you finally understand your worth. Focusing on you is the most powerful act of self-love. It's not selfish, it's sacred. It's choosing to be your own home, your own healer, and your own hero. It's realizing that when you take care of yourself first, everything else, your relationships, your goals, your dreams, falls into place naturally. It's not about isolation, it's about elevation. Because when you focus on you, you don't just become better for yourself. You become better for everyone around you. Forgive but never forget. It's a phrase people say so casually, but its meaning is layered, deep, and often misunderstood. Forgiveness is not about pretending nothing happened. It's not about erasing your pain or welcoming the person back into your life as if they never hurt you. No, forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the poison that resentment leaves behind. When you hold on to hate or anger, it starts living inside you. It eats your peace, your joy, and even your energy. The person who hurt you might be sleeping peacefully at night while you're lying awake, replaying every word, every wound. Forgiving them doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. Because forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. Your way of saying you no longer have control over how I feel. But here's the truth, you can forgive and still remember. Forgetting is not a sign of maturity. Awareness is. When you forget what someone did, you risk allowing them to repeat it. You don't need to carry the pain, but you need to carry the lesson. Think of your heart like a book. Every person, every hurt, every betrayal, they all write a chapter. Forgiveness closes the chapter, but memory keeps the wisdom. You can move forward with grace while never letting anyone make you read the same story twice. Forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. It's not some magical switch where your heart suddenly feels light again. It's a slow, personal journey that often starts with anger and confusion. You'll go through phases, denial, sadness, even moments when you want them to feel what you felt. That's normal. But somewhere in that emotional storm, a quiet realization appears that holding on is hurting you more than letting go ever could. You begin to understand that peace isn't about changing what happened, it's about changing how you respond to it. Forgiving doesn't mean you agree with their actions or justify their behavior. It simply means you are no longer allowing their actions to dictate your emotions. When you forgive, you release yourself from the grip of bitterness. Bitterness is like a heavy bag filled with stones. Every memory, every insult, every betrayal adds another stone. And the longer you carry it, the heavier your spirit becomes. One day you just get tired of dragging it around, so you drop it, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to walk free. Forgiveness is that moment of release. But even when you drop the weight, the path that made you strong stays in your memory. Forgetting it would mean erasing your growth, your awareness, your transformation. Never forgetting is not about revenge, it's about boundaries. When you remember, you build wiser walls, not to shut people out, but to protect your peace. If someone lied to you once, you don't need to hate them. You just learn not to trust their words so easily again. If someone disrespected your worth, you don't need to hurt them back. You just never allow them the same access to your heart. Memory becomes your armor, and forgiveness becomes your peace. Both together create the balance between strength and seren. People often think forgiveness should come with reconciliation. That if you truly forgive, you should let them back in. But sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to forgive from a distance. You can wish them well, even pray for their healing, but keep your space sacred. Because not everyone deserves to stay in your life after they've shown they don't value it. Some people are lessons, not lifetimes. Forgive them so you can breathe freely again, but remember them so you don't repeat the same heartbreak. It takes emotional maturity to understand that forgiveness doesn't erase accountability. You can forgive and still expect them to take responsibility. You can forgive and still decide not to engage. You can forgive and still recognize that trust, once broken, takes time, and sometimes it never fully rebuilds. That's okay. Forgiveness is your choice. Forgetting is not your duty. You are allowed to remember with strength, not pain. You are allowed to move forward without bitterness, but also without blindness. True forgiveness happens when you stop waiting for an apology that may never come. It's realizing that their apology is not a requirement for your peace. You don't need closure from them when you can create closure within yourself. Sometimes you'll never understand why they did what they did, and you must learn to live without the answers. That's what forgiveness teaches you, to make peace with not knowing. Forgetting would mean losing that wisdom, the emotional intelligence that pain brought into your life. Every scar carries a story, and every story holds power. Forgiveness allows your heart to stay soft in a hard world. It keeps your soul open to love, laughter, and light. But remembering makes you smart enough to protect that softness from those who don't deserve it. You learn to recognize patterns, to read energies, to trust your intuition more deeply. The memory of being hurt becomes your teacher, guiding you to choose better people, stronger boundaries, and healthier love. You become more careful, not cold, more aware, not afraid. So forgive, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. Let the memory remain, not as a wound, but as wisdom. Let it remind you that you survived what once tried to break you. Because in that balance, forgiving yet never forgetting, lies the most powerful version of you, a heart that can heal without hardening, and a soul that remembers without revenge. And that's the beauty of it. Forgiveness doesn't erase your story, it refines it. You come out softer yet stronger, calmer yet wiser. You no longer carry the pain as a burden, you wear it as armor. Every scar becomes proof that you rose, healed, and evolved. So yes, forgive to set your soul free, but never forget what taught you to stand tall. Because the moment you remember your worth, no one can ever hurt you the same way again.